We are live. Okay, we had a few technology issues, but we figured it out. So, welcome to everyone to the Coaching to Flourish podcast. I am your host, Raj Anderson, executive life coach and assessor. And I am here with John Andrew Williams, who's the founder of Coach Training EDU. And we were just having a chat about life and business before we got on. John, how are you?
Good. Yeah, it's been a week already. I feel like it's only Tuesday and I feel like I've lived a week. So here we are.
Well, what is happening in your world and what's happening at Coach Training EDU?
Well, the start of school is the big thing. And so I think just everyone it's like you were mentioning before, it's like the major reset, and getting into the swing of it. It feels like a New Year's in a way, like, we'll call it academic New Year's. And I think that our society operates on this too. Like, yeah, so here we are. Happy Tuesday, everyone.
Happy
Eh,
Tuesday, everyone. John, how do you reset or kind of get ready for this phase of the year?
Uh, Anything physical. I mean, I feel like exercise is key. And it's the thing that keeps me going. It's uh I feel fortunate to have a pretty strong routine, both, being able to get myself to the gym and also doing getting out there and getting out to a uh in nature. And I mean, just the combination of being athletic in nature is a really just it's healing. And I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just being able to be grounded is what I'm hearing from you. And it's something that I'm working on, being grounded. And when I am talking to lots of coaches, not just an assessment, sometimes it's mentoring or I work with leaders, there seems to be this sense of pressure that starts to occur around this time of year in terms of, oh, I haven't done enough, or have I done enough, or what's next? What on to arise in people?
Oh, sorry, cut out for a second for me. What was that again?
Yeah, what are your thoughts, John, in this kind of pressure sometimes that coaches or entrepreneurs start to feel at this point in their business?
Yeah. Yeah. I think when pressure comes up for me, particularly, I lean in a couple of different places. And I think leaning on the physical, the exercise is definitely key. I think that's there. The other one is a larger sense of purpose. Like there is a place where coaching has a seat at the table with its active empathetic listening, with its ideas of empowerment, with a lot of what the profession itself offers into like helping people and society in general get to a more empathetic, empowered position. And I really believe in this profession. So I think when challenges happen, I lean back into that larger purpose of, all right, this is the mission and vision that first got me in this space in the first place. And I think having that larger mission and vision is it's crucial. Like it brings me right back. And then having practices that put me in spaces of empowerment. And especially when challenges happen, it's all right, how can we meet the challenges? How can I use this challenge to grow as a human and become even stronger than I was before? And I feel like that's the key is all right. So how like I mean this goes back to I mean this goes back, but this is where I feel like coaching, offers. And I know we were talking about this too, Raj, like you were saying like in your own clients too. Like I'm curious. So it's I mean you're working with mostly executives in the space of people who are running large organizations and things like this. Like what are you seeing this time of year with the clients you're working with?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's this pressure that's showing up. We're in the final quarter of the year, and what have we achieved? What is the return on investment that we might have made, or are we hitting our figures? Are we hitting the data? Are we making the money that we need to? And but it's the same pattern that I see with execs who are running big teams and big organizations. And it's the same pattern I see with entrepreneurs that might even have a smaller organization. And it makes me think about, as human beings, what is our relationship with achievement
Mhm.
and the pressure that we put on ourselves. So thinking of it from that deeper perspective, even for myself, because I started to feel it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in September. This is the time I'm getting things ready. New contract's going to start in the beginning of the year in January. And I started to feel this pressure. And I had to remind myself I've got more time than I think. Yet sometimes that pressure's useful as well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. In what ways have you found the pressure useful?
I was talking to my own coach about this, and what has been useful is to push myself out of my comfort zone. I used to see pressure as something that was holding me back, or I'd feel the overwhelm. But I think even through all of these coaching to flourishes that we've done, John, and I think about one that we did earlier this year around dreaming and doing, I'm befriending the pressure, right? Pressure, because that's where diamonds come from, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
useful.
Yeah, I think leaning into that useful, like what's useful, not useful, is such a powerful tool. And staying with curiosity is it allows us to stay with curiosity and even look at seemingly negative things as all right. So how can we even use this? How is this even a thing that's possible to be used in this space? Um, I often go into that and think, all right, bring it on. Like I'm available. I'm open. Like let's at least get to what's real. And it's an interesting journey because sometimes I feel like there's like a shedding of um relationships of things are that are no longer, yeah, they're no longer serving. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like there was a period of time, there was a season, and that season was, I mean, in the sense of there's a season of life or a season of work, and it's a balance to be grateful for that season and then also, okay, what's the new season? What's this new space? And to be able to, it's a both and, like grateful and growing from, grateful and growing. And it's both. It's not one or the other. And I think sometimes in growing spaces, there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of I wish things could have been different, all of that kind of stuff. But then in a grateful space, it's, yeah, I'm still grateful even for the hard things. And I think when I get to that space, when my clients get to that space, when I hear coaches get to that space, then I know, yeah, something good is just about to happen. Like something there's a blessing here around the corner. Like let's get to that. So that's what I see in here. And executives get there too. A lot of executives can get to that space pretty surprisingly easily, especially the longer they've been in the business. I think there's a misconception that somehow business or executives are heartless, when I think it's almost exactly the opposite. Like these are some of the people I've experienced have the most heart, and when it really matters too, because it's hard. It's not easy. This is not for the faint of heart at all.
John, I'm hearing from you kind of this the gratitude, the blessing, the looking at what are the lessons in all of this, some of that introspection as well. What I've learned and what's helped me is really being able, as we think about the purpose and the use of the pressure, is actually being able to laugh about some of it. That's been helping me a lot, because when I thought this all through, is I'm putting the pressure on myself. Nobody else is.
Yeah.
Nobody's asking that of me. I'm doing it to myself because of my own desires around achievement and success. I could really make my own life a lot easier. I'm choosing not to. it's that curiosity around, well, why am I choosing this? Because it's not coming from, well, of course, there is always pressure in business. There, in terms of clients and making money. Yet sometimes we make our own life harder than it needs to be. You've been in business a long time. How would you speak to that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think, I mean, a lot of times I think, I mean, looking back, I mean, there are dozens of places I would have gone in different directions, knowing what I know now. And that's hard to sit with. That's not an easy space to sit with sometimes. Um, and I think in business, there's just an element of it's the cost of doing business. It's sometimes messy and um, it's not even realistic to think at any point in time like that someone doing something they've never done before is going to make optimum decisions and have it all figured out at the very beginning. Like it's just that's not how it works. And yet my own inner critic has a field day with that. Like, oh, 10 years ago, had this opportunity, could have done that, could have done this, could have done this. 5 years ago, could have done this, could have done that. Like, all of those things where I feel like there's an element of, oh, like if I could have just like it's some sort of um, virtual game or something where I could press save button, experience it, and then go back to the save. Like, all right, so now we want to know now, I'm going to go take these choices. Like there's an element of that I feel like, and it's just that's not how life works. And yet, I think what also happens too is the dreaming self, the self that's like, this is where I want to be. This is the dream that I have, which is a useful part of it, also plays a role in the regret self of dreaming of what could have been. Oh, it could have been like this. It could have gone that way. If I had done this, it would have gone that way. So I think there's an element of if you're in business, if you're really trying to grow as a human, what I've learned myself is you just accept, like, you just accept the responsibility of it. Like, yeah, I accept responsibility. It is what it is. I am where I am. And now what needs to happen in the future, that is, that's a lot. That's a lot to take on. And to ask, where are you coming from? Is it from a space of trying to get as much as possible or trying to give as much as possible? It's, you know, I think there's an element of you just gotta find what you're good at and do it and just do it hard, you know. And I know what I'm good at is training people how to be coaches. That's it. That's what I do in terms of like running a school and organization. It's learning in progress. And so learning in process in the progress too. Um, and you're in it. You're in long enough. There's a thing for Stephen Pressfield. He has this the War of Art, and there's this one passage in there where it talks about like in domains, like, and when you're in it, there is no like the time and energy and effort you put into something, it's an equal one-to-one. Like you get back whatever you put in. Like it's equal. And I feel it. Uh and I trust in it. And so I think there's an element of if you're putting in effort, if you're putting in the work, you can trust your work. You can trust your effort. Even if the results don't happen right away, you can there's an element of I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep doing the thing that needs to get done. And it's like a shark. Like as long as you're it's swimming, it gets oxygen going, water's going over its lungs, it's okay. The minute it stops, it's not okay anymore. It's like that in business. You just got to keep going no matter what. That's the mentality. So I feel it. I'm in it. September, bring it on. Yeah, here we are. I'm curious, Roger, where you're at with this too, because I mean, it feels like you and I run parallel in a lot of these things.
Yeah. Now I'm taking it all in and I'm thinking about that mindset that you were sharing as well. Is you just got to keep going. But there is also this bigger bit. for everyone listening, it's a reminder for me as I was listening to you, is it's part of the territory. Part of the territory of being in business or running an organization or being an exec in this part of the territory is you're not always going to get it right. There is a cost to business. You are a human being. There are relationships involved, there is finance involved, there are people involved. So I think it's that recognition that being a leader, part of this, it's part of the territory. It comes with it. So that's kind of my reminder for myself as I think about then, right, I'm going to build this into my strategy for next year. Right, there are going to be risks. There's going to be some financial losses at times because it happens with systems, with people, all kinds of things. It is part of that territory, isn't it? And I think when you're able to accept that as well, you can move on quicker from some of those setbacks. I like to say there's no failure, there's only feedback. So what did we learn from this, and what would I do differently next time?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's in the mix. We're in the mix. I was looking at this thing, I was reading this one article, and it talked about how any startup, there's only, let's say, a 1 in 10 chance that it's successful, which I think, I mean, in some ways, I feel like that 1 in 10 it might be high, you know. I mean, it depends on how you define success, but maybe 1 in 10 is low. Regardless, it's less than half, and it's probably less than half of half. Yet that chance to be the 1 in 10 or the 1 in 20, the reward of it is massive. And so I was thinking about this. I was thinking, okay, this is building something at scale. But let's say you're a solopreneur and success isn't digital, like it's not all or nothing, but it's to degrees. And there's a certain amount of money that you need to make in order to keep going or to do the thing. That might be a threshold. But there's an element of I am doing this because I like the journey of doing this. And I'm doing this because I like what the journey is asking me to become. And at that element of I enjoy who I am becoming and feeling like I'm becoming more of myself in this journey, that's that to me is the good stuff. That's what keeps, like, that's the inner work that I've found. Otherwise, I mean, it's just too hard. There's just no, like, no, you know what I mean? It's just too much work to not do that. And then I feel like there's these signs along the way that pop up. There's a university will call and say, hey, we have a whole new group, or something goes your way and you're in, it just feels like, yeah, this is really good. It can be so silly too. I mean, yesterday I came into the office and there was a praying mantis on my keyboard. It's just right there right now. I see it, like it's in the screen. Like after this call, I'm going to push the screen out and let it go to safety. And it's like, oh my goodness, like what? And I'll take it. I'll take it. You know, I'm not sure what they represent, but I'll look it up online and I'll find out. And then it's just whatever it is. But it's the who. I think the key question I hold that I mean, this is stuff I use. This is like my closest, like my inner world stuff. And it's such a pleasure to talk about this out loud, Raj, to this, to a larger audience. Like this is stuff that I kick around and wonder, okay, so how can we use this? How can we make this into a coaching exercise, at some point? But I've been really kicking on this idea of who is the journey asking me to become, and how much do I appreciate and like that version of myself that this is happening, and to lean into that space. And I feel like there's a huge, yeah, there's just huge opportunities for learning and being in this space like this.
Thank you for sharing that, John, because there is so much learning that happens in that journey itself, isn't there? Also, just reminds me, I'll never forget this. people have heard me say this before, but what I learned in my own coach training in the 2.0, I remember John saying it to me, is detaching from the outcome. And honestly, even detaching from the outcome in many aspects of my business, when I let go of pushing too hard, when I let go of trying to control things, the clients come in, the
Mm,
business comes
mm,
in. It's that push sometimes that prevents that. And then talking about the journey, who I am now to who I was even last year when I set some of my goals, some of those goals aren't even applicable or
mm.
important anymore because I've evolved in what I'm truly searching for or the impact that I want to make. So the journey taught me that.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So, John, that it's great that we're talking about this. And what is really wonderful is you have access to coaches who can help you to explore and understand the journey and understand yourself. And I know there's lots of new events happening at Coach Training EDU that can help coaches to reset or look at their business. Um, what could you share with us is happening and what can we look out for in the coming months?
Every Tuesday, we're doing an ongoing business mastermind. So it's going to be it's either 9 o'clock or 4 o'clock Pacific time, and they flip. So a morning option and an afternoon option, and so we're doing that, and we're also exploring a coaching tool. So 9 o'clock today, we looked at a coaching tool. We looked at perspectives. This afternoon, in about 4 hours, we're going to look at business mastermind. Next week, the business mastermind will be at 9, and then in the afternoon, we'll look at a new coaching tool. So twice a day on Tuesdays, you have an opportunity to connect with the larger community. We've been doing those now for, I think this is entering our third month of running these, and I am loving it. Like it feels alive in the sense of it's just it's a really sweet structure to build your life's work and to continue to do this work. Uh, so I'd like to invite you to those. And to me, that's like the foundation bedrock for everything else that we're doing. We have other workshops and things like that in the works. Um, we're putting together a belonging and equity course. We have the coach client matching app coming out. Just a lot of things happening, but it's really the Tuesdays is the bedrock at this point.
Thank you, John. Okay, so I know we're out of time. Yet, as you've listened to this, think about how you want to get curious about yourself. There are some ideas for reset, and then there is this valuable resource around the business mastermind. So I encourage you to come and join. And I'm going to attempt to pop into one in a couple of weeks. I'd love to
Yeah,
come and
they're
see
so
what's
fun.
happening.
They're so fun. Like it is a free for all. It is like whatever's there. People are using it as a structure to take risk and look at things and grow and be coached and coach. Yeah, it really is like living a dream. And uh yeah, encourage people to make it happen.
I love that. So you don't need to feel alone if you are in your own world coaching or an entrepreneur. You have a community. There are people you can bounce ideas off. And I just love listening to you today, John.
You too,
Grateful for
Raj.
you.
So fun. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and thanks for the opportunity, holding it down. And all right.
Okay. We will see you all soon and we'll see you in a mastermind. So take care, everyone.
Perfect. Thanks. Bye.